in discussions, we are made aware that this gas supply shortfall, as I said, it could even be due to maintenance. The gas is available, but even maintenance on the pipeline itself will engender this. Also, they may have challenges with them. I don't know, but we normally will issue joint statements like we've done yesterday. So it could be a number of factors. But if we say generation shortfall, I think we all understand that what we are receiving is not enough for it to be shared. Doc, if I could end it that way.
The demand we've seen so far is 3,618 megawatts. This, we recorded it in December 2023. Typically, the highest the demand, which we call the peak demand in the year, is experienced in December. I believe that Ghanaians like Christmas, so just before Christmas, there is a lot of demand. So that's when we registered it, and we believe that will grow. In fact, we should have gone beyond that by now, if not for the load management that we've been having. And so, because capacity has been a challenge, we have not actually gone beyond the December maximum. But if you look at the last slide, I see that the current projected demand is 3,648 megawatts. That is June. In March and April, it was actually 3,800 plus. And so the projections have been high. It's just that we have not had enough generating capacity to be able to realize that amount. So this, I've talked about it, so let me just run through because I'm sure my 15 is almost done. Beautiful. So this, I believe, is one of the key most slides. So talking about the reasons why we've been experiencing the energy challenges that we've been having. I think a lot has been said by ECG, BRA, and the IPPs from Gridco, and we play a central role because where we sit, we do the demand forecasting, and then we do the generation scheduling, asserting all the available capacity within Ghana and putting the schedules together in that way.
The item that needs to be replaced needs to be manufactured, but they have assured us that before the end of this year, the machine will be back. Other than that, all the other machines are readily available. Now, if a unit is going to be out for maintenance, what happens in the sector is that the maintenance schedules are coordinated with all the other players together with Gridco. And so we ensure that even though a unit is out for maintenance, there are other units that are available to replace the unit, either within our portfolio, because we don't run all our power plants all the time. Some of them, like in Tema, even though we have 300 megawatts active, most of the time we only run 100 megawatts.
Well, ECG there and Gridco saying that they cannot provide us with a load shedding timetable. Now, if you've been following the story from earlier bulletins right from in the morning, ECG and Gridco both issued a joint statement, and in the statement they've been giving some sort of clarity as to why you will be experiencing intermittent power cuts within the next 3 weeks. Now, they say that there is a shortfall in gas delivery from Nigeria due to maintenance work, and this has led to a significant drop in power generation. But former Director of Public Affairs and External Affairs at PURC, Naya Jantwa, believes the ECG owes the public at least a load shedding timetable to help us plan ahead.
I believe that that is a bit unfortunate, because especially with the current one we are going to face because of the gas shortage and the maintenance at WAPCO, they should be able to give us a timetable, because they know the load that is going to, go off, and the load represents consumers, what they consume. So you would know that if you are shedding 200 megawatts, 200 megawatts covers maybe an area of maybe 10 regions or something, an example. So they should know. They should sit down and do work and divide it. You see, we should stop these political things that we are doing. The government doesn't want a schedule to come out so that there is specificity that there is load shedding. But if you don't bring out the schedule, and in my house my light goes, I know it is load shedding, and I know how load shedding represents itself. It comes on at a certain time and it comes on at a certain time. So I do not think that it is great for all of them to treat consumers the way they are treating them, because you have a contract with them. So if they have a problem, they should be able to let us know and make life easy for us. For this one, they cannot tell us they cannot provide a load shedding schedule because it's erratic. This is not erratic at all, because they've given us 3 weeks, and once you've given us 3 weeks that we are not going to get power 3 weeks, they should be able to send us a load shedding schedule. I think we should remove the politics from it. I believe it is the politics, but we should remove it from it. It is not helping us. It won't help it. Because workers, some people who have their businesses, they depend on electricity. The economy largely depends on electricity.
Well, let's go on the phone lines now and speak to the Corporate Communications Manager for Gridco, Jifa Bampo. Thank you so much for your time here on The Pulse. Now, what immediate measures is Gridco putting in place to manage the load and also minimize the power interruption?
Thank you very much and good evening. So the main thing I would like to say to start with is certainly we are not happy that there would be potential outages. However, the decision to inform the public is because we are sensitive to, the concerns of the public about outages. And usually when we know that it's going to be for a very long period of time, we are obliged, even by regulation, to inform the public. So certainly we're not happy about this and we are sorry about that. On what we're going to do to mitigate the impact, we're going to work closely with the Electricity Company of Ghana. They are our sister utility. Gridco does not have a direct relationship with domestic and commercial customers. That sits with our sister utility, the ECG. So what we tend to do is we oversee the national transmission network. We are able to observe what the demand is, what plants are available, and what generation is available, and we try and match that. It is when we don't have a match, then there's a shortfall. Then we inform ECG, and a decision is made on how that shortfall is managed. We will be adopting that.
I'll have to come in here, Jifa, because I'm losing you intermittently. So if you could position rightly and then answer the question, I'll be grateful.
So I said what we're going to do with ECG is to manage the load together in instances where there is a shortfall. Now, this is because it is ECG that holds direct contractual relationships with domestic and some commercial providers. So they are better placed to know how to share the deficit that may occur. But I must say that it does not mean that this is going to be every day. There might be some days where there is no deficit for any load to be managed. So that is why we said that it's not very clear to us what the projections are on a daily. And that is why it was said at this forum that it would be challenging to provide a timetable at this particular point in time. But what the back end work we do is we look at the load, we try and match it and ensure that one area or another is not duly disadvantaged. So that's what we're going to do over this next period. But also note that that is when all the power plants available to us are working well. There are some times that you have sudden faults and a plant is unavailable. So that then becomes an emergency situation you didn't plan for. And that may cause the load management to be intense. So it is a situation we continue to manage. We can only do that collaboratively with the ECG and to some extent with the generators, because they determine which plants are used. Gridco does not determine that. ECG, VRA, they sit together and come up with the dispatch plan, and we try as much as possible to follow it. And so we'll do our best to ensure that the impact is as minimal as possible.
What key areas would be most affected by this shortfall?
So that's what I indicated to you, that Gridco cannot provide that information because we don't hold those relationships with domestic consumers. We provide bulk power from 161 kilovolts to 330,000 kilovolts. So we give it to ECG, and then ECG steps it down to smaller voltages, and it goes to domestic. So they are the only ones who can share the load and determine which areas. Gridco is not able to do that.
Looking at the impact it would have on me, because right now you're unable to give us a load shedding timetable, but we're supposed to brace ourselves for the next 3 weeks. Now, what collaboration are you having with other stakeholders like the VRA, for example, and ECG to ensure that the impact is not so massive on me as the end user?
So in country, we work with the entire value chain. So these are the producers of the fuel, to the processors of the fuel, the transporters of the fuel, to the generator, and then Gridco, the transmitter, and then ECG, the distributor to domestic. So it's a long value chain. What happens currently is that we have our own domestic gas, which amounts to from 335 million standard cubic feet of gas. So that gas is what is shared to the power plants for their use. So we will work together with the entities to ensure that the gas available is optimized so that we can get as much megawatt power out of it. But at the end of the day, we need additional fuel supply, and some of that is usually diesel or heavy fuel oil or liquid fuel oil. So we work with government to ensure that that is available. Gridco does not have a hand in the procurement. We are just a transporter of the electric power that is generated. So I know that government has been working to procure some additional fuel, and once those fuels are available, it should be provided to the generators so that they can ramp up on generation. So we're just hoping that all these measures work. If we have the additional diesel, HFO, LPO, then it should mitigate the impact of the gas shortage from Nigeria as much as possible. Because take note, the gas we produce in Ghana is 335 million standard cubic feet. We get 55 million standard cubic feet from Nigeria. So the truth is, if you compare the figures, the majority of the gas consumed in Ghana, we produce it ourselves. The challenge is that our demand for generation is very high. We need 520 million standard cubic feet of gas to avoid any outages. We don't have that amount. So that's where we are.
Thank you so much, Jifa Bampo. She's Corporate Communications Manager at Gridco, giving us details about the intermittent power cuts we are supposed to experience in coming days. So brace yourself. In the next 3 weeks, we are going to be having intermittent power cuts. Gridco and ECG unable to tell us key areas now because the issue right now is there's a shortfall in gas production coming from Nigeria, and that's due to maintenance work, which is supposed to last for roughly 3 weeks. And so that's the situation as we speak. We'll be monitoring across board, give you details as and when we have it. We know that Parliament would be sitting shortly. So let's take you there, because residents of Ojobi in the Central Region are demanding justice for a patient of Winneba Trauma Hospital who died after she was allegedly carried in the hospital's ambulance and dumped in a bush at Ojobi. It's launching investigations into the death of this patient, and coming up on your screen shortly is a statement released by the Ghana Health Service. It says the attention of leadership of the Ghana Health Service has been drawn to a media story about a patient allegedly abandoned in a bush at Gomwa, Ojobi in the Central Region. According to the story, it is alleged that the said patient was on admission at the Trauma and Specialist Hospital in Winneba, and after her relatives had failed to show up, she was conveyed in the hospital's ambulance and left in a wheelchair at Ojobi, where she claimed to be her hometown and was later found dead. The service, upon receiving this disturbing news, has initiated investigations into the matter to establish the authenticity or otherwise of the story in line with the existing practice of the public service to enable it to take appropriate actions. The service wishes to appeal to the general public to be patient, as anyone found to be connected with this unfortunate incident will be severely dealt with in accordance with provisions of the service's Code of Conduct. Well, we also know that the Member of Parliament for Norton, Okudzeto Ablakwa, has called for parliamentary inquiry into this, and in subsequent bulletin, Australia Joy News Prime will tell you more about it, because Parliament is raging because of this issue. Let's stick to health-related issues, because despite recognizing the signs of deteriorating mental health, many individuals continue to struggle without seeking professional help. Now, this reluctance can stem from stigma, fear, or lack of access to resources, leading to prolonged suffering and symptoms of patients staying longer than needed. While mental health experts say reluctance to seek professional help is prevalent in men, Dr. Vincent Ijapon, professor and head of the Department of Psychiatry at Dalhousie University, says there's a need to create specialized groups to help men battling with mental health issues to freely express themselves and receive the needed aid. He spoke on Newsdesk.
Men are more emotional and expressive, and therefore they seek help when they need to. Whereas men tend to kind of, bottle things within themselves. And usually by the time it comes to the stage where they are seeking help, then it's almost too late. That's why we have more men dying by suicide, compared to women. So it's important for us to look at social interventions. For example, forming social groups just for men, for example, will be a very good initiative, so that the men would know that if you are going through this, you are not alone. There are many other people just like yourself who are going through it, and you can be able to seek help, at least first stage help. And when you go to such social groupings, you can be able to get information about access to support services that are beyond the social groupings and seek appropriate help and intervention. This is something that it's not just government that can be able to do. All churches can have men's group that's focused on the mental well-being of the men within their fold. And I think all of us working together, we can be able to make a difference that way.
Now let's talk about yoga, because we are experiencing a surge in popularity across the globe, and more people tend to the Asian practice for its physical, mental, and emotional benefits. From the bustling urban centers to serene rural retreats, yoga classes are drawing diverse groups of practitioners seeking improved flexibility, strength, and stress relief. Well, today on The Pulse, Mr. Mustafa Seidu, he's a yoga instructor. He's here with us to tell us more about all you need to know about yoga. He trained in Kenya with Africa Yoga Project, over 500 hours of training, teaching yoga in Ghana for the past 7 years. He's a trained performer from the School of Performing Arts from the University of Ghana, and that's where he first introduced himself to the practice of yoga. He joins us in the studio. I also have another wonderful guest, Roberta Chabinsky. She's a British national in Ghana for nearly 10 months. She's been practicing since her teenage years. She's teaching it for the past 20 odd years, and she's in the studio with us. Let's start with Mustafa. Yoga in Ghana. Yes. How is that faring for you?
So far, so good. But, you know, because it is a little bit alien, allow me to use this word, to us Ghanaians, it is not easy for us to really kind of move to it or assimilate it into our daily lives. So it is something that is good, but it is still yet to be fully accepted into the Ghanaian homes, if not the African home.
Yeah. Roberta, why yoga? If I'm looking to lose weight, why yoga? Why should I go for yoga when I could go to the gym or probably do some press up in my home?
Different disciplines, different modalities of movement. Just by doing yoga, it will not make you lose weight. But if you do power yoga, which is another aspect of the discipline, you can. Like the sun salutation, for example, a more dynamic and flowing part of yoga practice. But you need to learn the asanas, the poses, before you combine them together into a flow that makes then the movement cardiovascularly challenging, and therefore they will help you to lose weight. Yeah, but it will also help you with flexibility, with respiration, with mood change. So the fact that you're doing the healing internally will help you to actually help you heal and feel more confident about yourself and good about yourself. So it's not just a matter of losing weight. It's about a matter of being confident with yourself and who you are.
If I have an existing medical condition, is it safe to explore yoga?
Yes, absolutely. There are poses that might be contraindicative to certain conditions, but yoga is quite safe to practice with awareness. And what brings us to be aware of our body, of our conditions, accepting them, and move without the ego, right?
Oh,
and, yeah.
Interesting. Let me come to you, Mustafa, because unfortunately we're running out of time. But then I want to see how the practice here in Ghana, what's the reception you receive each time you go out? Because you also teach yoga.
Right, yes. So a lot of people have heard and they see also on social media. So people want to practice yoga, but I think we have very little avenues or not much awareness here. So that's why the campaign is on. We are trying to come out to let people know that, okay, yoga is here in Ghana. If you want to practice yoga, come. We have classes at the Indian High Commission, and it's free, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., Monday to Friday. So come with or without a mat. One thing also is that you don't need anything to practice yoga. Whereas perhaps maybe if you want to a gym or you want a treadmill, you need a treadmill, you need equipment. But for yoga, all you need is for you to be present. And then, yeah, you can do yoga. So far, so good. The campaign is on. We want more people to come and practice yoga with us.
I'll wrap up with Roberta. What should I look forward to when I'm coming to a yoga class?
I think the most important thing is to show up and no expectations.
Really?
Yes.
No expectations?
No. Just feel, observe, and be yourself. Just show up and no expectations. And one thing that I want to add, you're saying that we're promoting this month with the International Day of Yoga, and our summit will be on the 22nd of June at the Osu Castle. We're doing a presentation, and everybody's welcome. We're going to discuss more about the benefits of yoga. You will have a chance of actually looking at us performing yoga poses and practicing with us. So
thank you so much.
International Yoga Day.
So we'll be monitoring that event. Probably I'll pass through, but you tell me no expectations, so I'll come through without expectations. Hopefully I can make it through the class. Right. Thank you so much, Mustafa and Roberta, for joining us on the show. We're taking a quick breather. When we come back, we'll tell you about Talk No Dey Cook Rice. What is it all about? You need to stay tuned into The Pulse.